So now we have all these pieces out, and what we need to do is to cut off the thing in the middle. My mom calls it parrot.
Wesley Aroozoo never had a very strong sense of being Eurasian when he was growing up. He didn't have any Eurasian friends in school and never really felt connected to the Eurasian community.
Pickle gravy later.
But he does know how to make pickles, Eurasian style.
So it was your mom's pickle business, right? She was actually selling these pickles?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
So she's been doing it for 40 years. And 40 years, yeah, which is exactly my age as well.
Okay.
So she took it up when I was kind of like born.
What inspired her to start it?
So it was passed down through generations, right? So, and when my grandmother had to migrate to Australia, her customers were asking like, hey, who's going to continue it now? So my mom decided to continue it. I think there were two reasons. So one is to preserve the Eurasian delicacies, and the other reason I think is because of me actually. With me being the third child, that brought a bit of financial constraints, I guess, to the family too. So making pickles and selling them in a small home-based kind of business kind of helped with the family financially as well.
Okay, cucumber and carrots that need the salt. You always do it one by one with these tongs?
I also wonder whether this will continue down to me and my sister as well. And we learned a little bit, but not everything, not enough to continue it. So it's a bit scary as well, because if it skips this generation, then it might be lost forever. And I think there's a lot of things going on with a lot of this Eurasian delicacy. With the new generation being maybe a bit more reluctant or not as interested to take it up. And if they don't, then a lot of these interesting family recipes will soon disappear.
Yeah, exactly. So these are some family photos I managed to find. They are obviously not digital. They are quite weathered. But okay, like I wanted to show you this one because I think it's very interesting. It's probably the oldest photo that we have. So this is my mom's side of the family. These are my mom's grandparents, Maria and Victor. So apparently or allegedly, he came from Goa. So he looks, I mean, you can tell like the Indian heritage is quite strong. Yeah, so back then, the Eurasian community would live in specific areas, right? And they would be rather close-knit. Then, of course, it's very different now. We're all spread out around Singapore. And you know, since we're only about 0.4% of the population, it's really common, I think, for many Eurasians to go the whole day without seeing another Eurasian that maybe isn't their family member, right? So I'm curious, Wesley, when you were growing up, did you feel a strong sense of Eurasian identity, or was it something you couldn't really relate to?
I had 0 Eurasian friends in primary school and in secondary school because there were no other Eurasians except for me. So it was interesting. Because of this, I think I was a little bit more disconnected from the Eurasian community because I had lesser interaction with Eurasians. Also living in a community with lesser Eurasians. My dad grew up in a place where there were Eurasian neighbors, right? So it's very different for me living in a HDB where there's a whole diverse racial group as well. Yeah. So lots of pros and cons as well, but yeah, lots to love as well.
Given that experience of yours, Wesley, what would you now want to find out about your Eurasian history and heritage?
Wow, so much, because a lot of my heritage is a bit of a mystery. So for example, my surname is Aroozoo, A-R-O-O-Z-O-O, but over time it has been either misspelled or had a change of spelling. And original spelling is actually A-R-U-J-O, which is Arroyo. Right, so if you go to Portugal, you'll be able to find that name there, but not Aroozoo. So because of that, it's quite hard to find the history of Aroozoo because it's quite a short timeline. But I think in my own way, I've been trying to find a way to connect back to my history. For example, in Singapore, there's Aroozoo Lane and Aroozoo Avenue, which is really intriguing because, hey, that's my surname, right? It's a bit different. So I wanted to find the old heritage signs, the old street signs of Aroozoo Lane. So here it is. This is the signage. Let me bring it over. Ta-da, it's a bit huge.
Wow.
So it says Aroozoo Lane.
Look at that.
Yeah.
That's very impressive.
Wesley's not the only one searching for his roots. I am too.